From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for September 28, 2016. In just a moment, we'll be taking a look at the AUDUSD, the Australian versus the US dollar, for today's trade analysis. But first, I want to recap a trade suggestion made over the past couple of days, starting here on the USDCHF, the dollar franc. Yesterday's morning analysis video talked about buying the dollar franc into the support zone. If you look to the right-hand side of the chart, you'll see a blue box over here highlighting resistance at the green shaded area in between 97.80 and 9800, and support at the blue zone between 96.90 and 96.70 at the bottom of that blue box. So you can see resistance and support. Well, yesterday, and really over the past 4 days, we have held support into that blue shaded area, the 96.90, 96.70 level. So what we were looking for yesterday were buys into that support zone, with our risk, of course, just underneath about where that black line is, knowing that if it got underneath there, we probably didn't want to stay in a buy very long. So that's what we did. We took a buy there into the blue shaded area. You can actually see the trade still going down here at the very bottom of the chart. 96.88 was the buy order, the long order. Currently sitting 27 pips. Of course, we've seen a little bit more than that, nearly 40 pips of profit on the trade as it pressured back up into the 97.35 level. Let's go ahead and zoom it in a little bit here on the daily time frame. Might even be a little bit more than 45 pips. But zooming in here, again, we saw the opportunity to go long into the blue shaded area. The risk was the push underneath it, which we knew. Now the stop loss is at break even or better, locking in profit. Touching the yellow zone, obviously the yellow zone is resistance. You don't want to go long right now underneath resistance. The next opportunity to go long would be a push above the yellow shaded area, 97.35. Then we'll look for it to head back up, potentially to the green shaded area at the top of our blue box in our little range here. And of course, if it ever breaks above there, we could look for the continuation of the uptrend. We do have some significant news on the calendar between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. So over the next 3 hours or so, we could be looking at some volatility in the market. We have a couple of speeches, Fed Chair Yellen scheduled to speak. We have some news at 8:30. So a couple of different things, some crude oil inventories at 10:30. So a couple of things that could cause some volatility up until about the 10:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time hour. But other than that, after that, it becomes quiet. So we'll continue to watch all the U.S. currency pairs, but hopefully we'll see this take a turn back higher again and break through that yellow zone and continue the profit for the dollar franc. Let's head on over to the AUD-USD, Australian versus the U.S. dollar. I want to start all the way out here on the weekly time frame just to give you a recap of the long-term trend here. That's the red trend line. Take a look at that red trend line. I think it's very important. You go all the way back to the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, where it started this downtrend, and it connects here in the 2014 time frame, and that's going to be very important for our current time. So I just wanted you to see where that red trend line comes from. Daily time frame, boom, there it is right there. Take a look at the last several days. Let's go ahead and zoom it in a couple of times. There's the red trend line. We see it challenge it here, fall off, challenge it here, fall off. Guess where we are now? We're right back into that red trend line and the blue shaded area. We've seen resistance here before. Look back here where the black triangle is on the far left hand side, resistance and reversal. We see right here where the red circle is, congestion around the blue shaded area, some resistance here again. So we know that the blue zone between 96.40, 96.70, or sorry, 76.40, 76.70 is a decision zone here in the market, the blue shaded area. So as long as it stays within and under the blue zone, I'm looking for resistance, just like it did back here and here, and reversal to go back down towards the pink zone, yellow zone, orange zone, in the direction of the long-term weekly trend line. The risk, and there's of course risk in every trade scenario, but the risk here is that the market pressures higher and challenges back towards the green zone. Obviously, the green zone is our next resistance. How do we know that? All we have to do is look at the last two times it pushed through the blue zone. Here and here, it hit the green zone and found resistance. So that's our next resistance. Of course, we already know our next support is the pink zone. You can see that where the black box is, and even underneath the black triangle where it touched the pink zone as support. So, or sorry, black circle. So anyways, we know that if it stays within and under the blue zone, it goes to the pink zone or lower. If it gets above the blue zone, it's going back here. So we know we have a fairly minimal risk scenario here. We just don't want it to break through the blue zone. We have some news coming up at 8:30, about 30 30 minutes from the recording of this video. If it's positive for the US dollar, I think we could look for that turn back lower again, back underneath the blue zone, and a turn lower. If it's negative news for the U.S., we might see the market push through 76.70, the top of the blue zone, and head back up towards the green zone. So we'll keep an eye on that news later today and see how that plays out. I'm in the short and looking for it to go down. Of course, I've applied the trade manager available to members of the Prodigy program to protect the profit when I do see it. If I see over 20 pips of profit, I'll be moving my stop loss to break even on the trade. Essentially, if it gets underneath the blue zone again, if it gets underneath 76.40, I'll be looking for this trade to begin to go to break even and protect the profit on the trade, and again, looking for it to head back down to the pink zone for the Australian dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.